Welcome back, my fellow developers. This is the day 3 of our series Full Stack Web Application Development on Resume Builder. So far, we have completed the day 1 and day 2 successfully. So don't worry, guys, if you haven't watched the day 1 and day 2, if you missed that part, I'll drop the link in the description. Please click that link and please go ahead and watch the video first. So in the day 1, we have completed the authentication part, and in the day 2, we have completed the admin controls and everything. And now in the day 3, we are going to discuss about the main home screen UI and the resume logics and UI, the main ideology and main thing of this complete project. That's what we are going to do it in this. So we are going to finish this project in the day 3, and without wasting your time further anymore, let's jump into the video. All right, everyone. So over here, this is our project. So far, we have completed this admin part and the authentication part, and everything is so far it's completed, and we don't have any data yet in our template. So because in the last part, we deleted everything at the end. And now over here, if you have a look at this design, what we have right now. So this is how we need to create our home screen. So we have to bring this this complete filtration options where it is completely overflowing. So the user can able to scroll back and forth, left and right, or you can just use the scroll bar, something like that, right? So now what we have to do is to implement this filter option and how to make it globalized, like how to keep it in the query client to filter the entire component, because basically this home is going to be a different component and the filter is going to be different component. Each and everything is in a different component, but they need to organize together. So we need to keep this in a global state. So that's the reason where we are going to keep it inside the query client, right? So now what you have to do is let's jump back to our home templates, like means the home screen, the place where we are displaying. This is the home screen, right? The place where we are maintaining the entire routes. And that is where this home container is being rendering. So this at this point only we need to bring that. So let me delete all these unnecessary create template, use template, API, Firebase config. Let's clear the things. Close this, close this, close this, and even close this. So let's keep the home screen alone. And let me open the home container. So this is the home container what we are looking over here. So what we have to do first, we have to bring this particular part. Right, so to bring that data, so what we have to do is so first we have to create the designs. So first we have to create the design. So let's say for this, let's make this complete thing the home screen as, let's add some styles over here. Class name, this is equals to Vetrivel, then px4, and for the large device onwards, the px is going to be 12, and for 2xl, I think for 2xl we don't need to specify. From the large device onwards, let's keep it in that way. And the padding, it's going to be py6, flex column, everything inside that, then item center, and justify it's on the start. So it should be on the top like this. So let me enable the word wrap so you can see everything clearly. Okay, so now I hope you can see everything clearly over here. Now instead of this home container, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring that filter section over here. So we need to bring that filter section. Then what we have to do, so right underneath it, what we need to do, we need to bring that the template. We need to render those templates. That means resume pin. We need to bring those resume pin over here. All these resume pin over here. That's what we need to do. So first let's go ahead and create a new component for filter. So let me collapse everything. Source, inside the components folder, I'm going to create a new file called filters.jsx and RAFCE. And let me export it from here in the index.js /filters. Copy it, paste it over here, save these changes, and now let's import it over here. Let's bring the filters from the components folder. So it's coming from components, so you should be able to see the filters over here. So now let's jump into the filters part. So inside this filters part, so let's fix the UI first. So let's say class. So I need to make sure that this is occupying the complete width. So let's fix that. So class name, it's going to be width the full, flex, item center, and justify it in the starting position itself. All right, so everything will be pinned in the left side of the entire div. So py it's going to be 4. Save these changes. Now it is in the starting position. So instead of this filters text, so now what I'm going to do is, if you have a look at over here, so we're having this div and we're having this entire div, which is not taking more than that entire division. So I'm going to bring this first, the clear button. So let's bring that clear button first. So div, inside this div, what we are going to do, we are going to bring an icon. So I'm just going to say md layers clear. That's the icon that we are going to bring. So let's import that icon. Import from react icons / md, and let's say md layer is clear. That's the icon that we are trying to bring in. And class name size is going to be text excel. Save these changes. So you should able to see that icons over there. So now I can able to see my icon over there. Now what we need to do is, I'm going to customize the styles. So class name, it's going to be border, and border gray is going to be 300, and rounded md, and px it's going to be 3, and py it's going to be 2, and from the margin right, from this I need to add some space. From this I need to add some space over here. So from the margin right, it's going to be 2, and of course the cursor is going to be the pointer, and I'm going to group this group on hover. I'm going to bring some shadow median. Whenever I'm hovering it, I need to bring some shadow, and the bg color is going to be gray 200, and normally the position is going to be the relative position. Save these changes. Now it looks like this, right? You can see whenever I'm hovering it, I can see that the shadow effects over there. Now what I need to do is, all I have to do is to bring that clear all options, so which is coming really nice over here. You can see with some animation part, we need to bring that tooltip animation, so over here. So for that, I'm going to bring that animation from the framer motion. So I need two different objects from here, animate presence and the motion animation, motion plus. So here I'm going to create animate on presence. The reason why we are using the animate presence is because framer motion, it's going to add 3 sets of animations: state, initial state, animate state, and exit state. The problem with the React is, when you try to plug out a node from the tree of nodes, from the list of nodes, it instantly plug that node and put it outside, right? So it doesn't wait for the exit animations need to be done. So we need to make sure whenever you are trying to plug out a node, a component from the React nodes list, we need to make sure that it still waits until that animation successfully and the node has been plugged out. So to do that, we need to wrap that entire stuff inside the animate presence. So that makes sure the animations are performed completely even at the exit state, right? So I'm going to bring a div, which is going to be a motion.div. So inside this motion.div, I'm going to bring a paragraph tag, which is clearly going to say clear all. So this paragraph tag, what I'm going to do, so this paragraph tag should not be, if the size is too small, it should not wrap the text content. So white space, no wrap. So that will not bring the all in the next line if there is not sufficient space. So text size is going to be excess. So now you should be able to see that text color, text size over the clear all or something. So this division is need to be in an absolute position. So I'm going to make this as an absolute, then minus top 8, then minus left 2. So that should bring the clear all option at the top. Then I'm going to bring some styles. So BG white and shadow, it's going to be empty, and rounded, it's going to be empty. Save these changes. So that you should get that text. And we need to add some padding. So px is going to be 2, py it's going to be 1. So that's how the clear all looks like, right? So it's looking cool. So now I need to add some animation stuff. So for this animation, so what I'm going to do is, so basically, if you have a look at here, it's sliding up and it's sliding down, right? You can see when it's moving up, the size is increasing, the scale level of that it's increasing, and the scale level is decreasing, right? So to do that, what I'm going to do is, so over here, I'm going to call the initial state of that animation. Initial state of that animation is going to be opacity, it's going to be 0. And the scale level, it's going to be the 60%, which means 0.6. And on the y-axis direction. So if you are giving, basically it's like a graph. If you give it a positive number, it will move from top to bottom. If you give a negative number, it will move from bottom to top. So in this case, it's going to be, initially it's going to be a little bit down in its point, like 20 points I'm going to push down. So when I'm hovering it, I'm going to make that 20 points to 0. So it will looks like it's rising to top, something like that, right? So I'm going to copy this and I'm going to paste it 3 more times, and I'm going to change this to animate, and I'm going to change this to exit, something like this. Initial, animate, exit. So on animate, the opacity level is going to be 1, the scale level is going to be 100%, so 1, and the y-axis point is going to be 0. So save this change. Now if you can see, if I do any some kind of animations, we can see it's animated now. So if I refresh this, you can see that animation stuff. Now what I need to do is, I need to show this option only if I'm hovering it. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to say use state snippet is forward state, or you can say is clear forward, something like that. So I'm going to keep this state as false. Then I'm going to display only if that is forward state is true. So cut it, is forward, and we need to display. If it is, that means if that state is true, then display it. Otherwise, don't display it. So that will be displayed at point, which point? Whenever I'm hovering, whenever the mouse enter inside this division, this main division. Not that one, this main division, because that's the division which is wrapping these two sections together. So for this, I'm going to add on mouse enter. Whenever the mouse enter, I'm going to call callback function, and I'm going to say set is clear forward as true, right? Then I'm going to copy and paste this one more time. I'm going to change this more as leave. On leave, I'm going to change this to false. So if I open this, it will pops up. If I close this, it will pops down, something like that. See, on hover, this is how it looks like. So it's working perfectly. Now what I need to do is, instead of keeping this animation stuff and everything over here, I'm going to bring this animations to somewhere point, so that we can use it for later purpose for some other designs also. That's the reason we have created this index.js. So let's open this, and here I'm going to say export const slide up down with scale. With scale equals to, open it, paste it, and we have to alter these changes. Use your multi-cursor editor to delete the equal sign and add the comma at the end. Okay, so then of course we need to add the colons also. Here we need to add the colon. Save this change. This is how it should looks. So now I need to use this where? Over here. Let me spread this operator and let me bring the slide up down with scale. Save this option, and now still it will work the same. So this will keep your code cleaner, so we can maintain all our animations separately in a single file, right? So we have successfully done this clear button option. Now all we have to do is to bring these filter data, the dummy data, and as well as with this some UI designs and everything. So that's what we are going to do next. All right then, so now what we have to do, so we have to bring these same kind of stuff over here. So first we need some dummy data, right? So let me bring some dummy data over here. So we are going to use the exact same dummy data which we are copied in the helpers.js previously. So I already dropped the link in the description, the Git link in the description. So you can copy this sample code from there. So let's get back to the filters. So what we have to do is, so that should be loaded right after this particular division div over here, right? So let's bring one more div and let's say class name, which is going to be widthful flex item center and justify everything in the starting position, and overflow X, it's going to be scroll, and I'm going to say the gap is going to be 6, and scroll bar, so we need to hide the scroll bar. So to hide the scroll bar, so we need to install one more package in the Tailwind CSS. So search for Tailwind scroll bar. Oops. Scroll bar. This is the package that we have to install. So all I have to do is to copy this, open up the terminal, new terminal, paste it, hit the enter, and that will be downloaded inside our project. And then you have to copy this line and you have to install this inside the tailwind.config.js over there, over here. This is the place where we need to install it. Save these changes, close it, and close this too, close this, and let's come back here. And all I have to say over here, scroll bar, none. That's it. Then for over here, now what I need to do, I need to bring that filtered data. So filtered data, so this is coming from where, okay, so filters, okay, so we can't use this, so I thought we are going to using this. So what we need to do is, so I created a separate array. I forgot to share the data. This is the data that we are going to use. So I will update this in that link as well. So you can copy it and paste it over there. So let me open my, where it is. Your guess over here. Here we go. So I need to update this one. Okay, select that. Edit. And I'll paste it here. So now we can use the same data from there. All right, cool. So I copied the same data. So you can copy this data from the Git link and you can paste it over here. This is the data that we are trying to use it inside. So now over here, we can say filters data from the utils helper. So if we do have the data, what we have to do. So if I have the data, then all I have to do is to say filters data dot map, open it, and I need to extract that particular menu from there. Then, or we can say instead of menu, we can say as item or something, filter menu or filter item or something, whatever it is you want. You can keep your name as per your convenience. Okay, and I'm going to create a div over inside this div, And for this div, I'm going to give the key. So basically we are going to use this ID which we generated. So what I'm going to do is, so that is going to be data.id, not data, which is going to be item.id. Then class name. So if you have a UI over here, just be having some borders, some padding effects, and when I'm hovering it, I'm having some shadow effects over there. So to bring that, what I'm going to do is, and if you notice here, if I click this, that is highlighted, and we can see the color is changed over here, and the search pattern is also getting updated over here. So we have to bring that. So if I clear this, so everything will be cleared, right? So what we have to do is, all I have to do is to first fix the styles over here. So let's bring the backtick border. So we need the border. Then the border gray color is going to be 300. Then rounded medium, and then px it's going to be 6, py it's going to be 2, cursor it's going to be pointer, and the group hover shadow medium, not group hover. I'm going to make this as a group, and on hover the shadow is going to be medium. Okay, after this, so if that value is selected, then we need to keep the background color as gray, and we need to enable the shadow. If that particular data is not selected, so we have to ignore it, right? So for that, what we have to do, so we have to create a query client and keep those data as a globally, so we can access it at any point. So we haven't do that. For the time being, let's leave that part over here. And now inside here, I'm going to bring a paragraph, and I'm going to bring that label. So item dot label, and for this I'm going to say class name, text sm, and text txt primary, and on group hover I'm going to change the text to txt dark, and I'm going to say white space no wrap, save changes, so that will not wrap the entire text. Now you can see we're having some data over here, and now if I click it, it's not been highlighted or it's not been selected. So what now we have to do is, we have to create a query client to have the search filter, so that we can update the term over here, and we can update the term whenever we are clicking it over here. So we can filter the data based on the search filter over there. So that's what we are going to do next. All right then, so now what we have to do is, so let's go ahead and create the custom hook to store the filters and everything. So over here inside the hooks folder, let's create a new file called use filters.jsx, and then okay, so here let's say const use filters equals to an arrow function, and this is going to export the default as use filters. All right, now inside this function, what we have to do is we have to get the use query hook, and this query, it's going to return you the data of that particular query, which means the state, and is loading, whether the state is loading or not, or whether the state is having any issues or not, and the refetch method, which helps you to refetch that particular state value from the API. So here we're going to set this as global filter. That's the state name I'm creating, and inside this I'm going to call a callback function, and here I'm going to return an object which is basically going to be a search term. That's the state, that's the property which is inside the state. Then I'm going to keep that the value as the empty. So basically what we are doing here over here is, so we are using a function, to return the initial data. We are trying to return the initial data, so we are using a callback function to do that. Okay, then what I'm going to do, I'm just going to say refetch on Windows focus as false as usual. Okay, and after this is the place where our function and everything is being getting ended, and I need to return that state what we are trying to do. So return the data is loading and is error, and the refetch everything as a function. All right, cool. So now we have the use filters hook, and now what I have to do is to let's close this use filters and let's jump into the filters.jsx, and right after here we need to get that filters data. So const data equals to use filters. So it's not showing up. So what we have to do, we have to import it by manually by ourselves. Use filters from /hooks/use filters. It's the thing, copy and paste it over here and over here, close it, and now that should return the data object is loading, and is error. And of course we need the if we need the refetch, we can use it later. So here what I'm going to do is we can keep that as because for the time being, because right now here we are using only one hook, one custom hook. If you're using more than one, we need to give an alias name for this data. So it's better to gas an alias name. So I'm just going to give an alias name as filter data itself. Filter data. That's the object which carries the data which we want to filter. So now if we save these changes and if you get back to the query client, so here it should gives you the global filter and new state. Inside that state you have a string object which is called search term, which it doesn't have anything. Now what I need to do is I'm going to call a callback function, an on click function for what, for here, for this division. On click, whenever I'm clicking it, I'm going to call and callback function, and I'm going to say handle filter value, and I'm going to pass the item dot value inside item dot value. So then I'm going to copy this, and right after here I'm going to create const. So I'm going to call a callback function for that. Then I will get the value inside over here. So that's the value which we are on click. We are sending the value over here. Now what I need to do is, so basically we need to get the previous value of your query state. Then we need to create the updated data. Then we need to push that updated data into your global state. So what I'm trying to say over here is const previous state equals to so we need to create a query client to update your query status. So let's say const query client equals to use query client. All right, so let's make sure that is installed from the React query. From here, using the query client object, query client dot get query data, what, which means it's we are trying to fetch the data value, which is nothing but this particular global state. So copy that global filter. This is the state value that we are trying to access over here. So that will get the previous data. Now I need to create the updated data. So get the updated state value equals to, I'm going to get an object. So I'm going to spread the previous state from it. Then I'm going to apply the new state value, which is the filter colon value. That's the new value which we are trying to set. Okay, so it's not a filter. This is going to be the search term. So we are trying to update the search term value as the value. Then okay, so what we can do is, instead of approaching by this way, so instead of creating a previous state and getting the updated state, and now what we need to do, I need to update the query client dot set query data, and get update that global filters. This global filter, we are going to update the global filter with this updated state value. So instead of writing this in a three different line, right? Instead of writing this in a three different line, we can optimize this in a single line. Like instead of getting it and then updating it and then pushing it, so instead of doing all these things in a separate line, we can write it in a single line just by using query client dot set query data, open it. Let's use the global filter. Then I'm gonna open an object and I'm going to spread the query client dot get query data, open it. I'm going to get the query data from the global filters, and then comma, I'm going to update the search term. I'm going to update the search term. That's the value which is inside, that's the object which is inside. So I'm going to update that value with the value what we are passing into this function. So this is how you can write this same line, the same functionality in a single line. So we are fetching it, then we are getting the previous data, and then we are updating the new data, right? So that's the optimistic way to do that. So now if I click this, you should get the software engineer, you should get the backend developer, you should get the full stack developer. If you're a software engineer, now you can see the search term is getting updated every time when I'm clicking it. So I need to change the background color as well as. So what I need to do is over here. So if the filter data, so this dollar and open it, we are going to access this state, which is nothing but the global filter. If that, inside that we do have the search term. If this double equals to item dot value, so what value we are trying to load over here, if it is equal to that, then what we are going to do, yeah, if I click software engineer, showing software engineer, if it is equals to this, if this condition is true, then I'm going to say bg grade 300 and shadow empty. Now if I click this, you can see the software engineer is highlighted. If I click backend developer, the backend developer is changed, so that's the reason it's showing backend developer. And web developer, now you can see it's changed to web developer. So the filter is working fine. So now the only stuff which we have to fix is next one is the search filter. So the applying filter, the filter buttons are working perfectly. Now we have to do the same stuff for the search filter, and that's what we are going to do next. All right then, so now what we have to do is we have to jump into the header. So let me open the header. So inside this header, so where we are getting that input value, so where it is, here we go. This is the place where we are getting that input value, right? So what I need to do is, so I'm just going to copy the same function. All right, so same function, we need the same function, and instead of that, what I'm going to do is first I need to get the state. So let's get the state value over here. This is one. Let's copy this and let's get the headers right over here. I don't need anything at all. These things are not necessary, and we need to import this use filter. So let's import it, and then on change over here, on change, I'm going to say handle search term. This is the function I need to call. Copy it. Const handle search term is equals to call the event along with that from where it's been triggered. So this function is get called over here. And now what I need to do, I need to copy the same method and I'm going to paste it inside over here. And let's use this query client, because over there I used it as small lowercase, and here it is in capital camel case over here. Now what we have to do is, so we are getting the global filter and we are updating the search term value. But what is this value? This place, it's going to be your new search term, which is nothing but it is coming from e.target.value. From the event, we'll get the target ID and we'll get that value, and we're updating it. And the value for this is going to be what's that? Filter data dot search term. If we do have this data, then display that data, filter data dot search term. If we don't have, then leave it as empty string. All right, because initially it is going to be empty string. If we have, we'll display that data. So now if I type something, you can see whenever I type something, it's initially getting updated over here. Sample, if I delete it, and the state is also getting updated over here. Now I need to bring a delete button. I need to bring a clear button, the place after that input tag. That's the place I need to bring that the clear button, the X mark, the clear button. I need to bring it over there, which is need to be displayed right away, straight away over here. So that's going to help us to clear the filter. So we need to clear the filter, right? So for that, I'm going to bring in one more button over here, motion dot div. Inside here, I'm going to bring a paragraph tag, and that paragraph tag which is going to display just an X mark, class name, text to Excel, and text black. And for this div, what I'm going to do, so that will display that X mark over there. Yeah, you can see that X mark. So for that X mark, we need to add some styles. So class name, so width is going to be 8, height is going to be 8, and flex item center, and justify it in the center, and bg gray 300, rounded medium, cursor pointer, and on active state I'm going to scale the percentage into 95, and duration is going to be 150. So it feels like whenever I click this, you can see it's reducing the size of it. So we'll get that effect. Let me enable the word wrap so you can see it completely. All right, so this button need to be displayed only if the search term length is greater than 0. So for this, I'm going to add some animation stuff. Let's bring the fade in out with opacity. I'm going to use the same animation from the animation which we already created. And now this needs to be rendered. When it's need to be rendered, it's need to be rendered if the filter data dot search term dot length greater than 0, then we need to display this, save these changes. Otherwise we don't need to display that. Now we can see here, if I have something, you will get that. If I don't have something, you will not see that clear filter option. On click, whenever I'm clicking this, I'm going to call on click clear filter. I'm going to call this method. So here I'm just going to say const clear filter is equals to a function. So for clearing, what we are going to do exactly the same stuff, copy this, but instead of this targeted value, we're going to keep it as an empty string. Save these changes. And now if I type something, you can see we'll get some data over here, and if I click it, it will clear the filter. We have to do the same thing for over here also. So what we have to do, we can simply copy this function, and let's get into the filter section, and right after over here paste it, and where we are clearing it, this is the place where I have clear button. So for this, on click, let's simply call that clear filter option. Now if I click this, you can see it gets updated over here, and if I click this, you can see the query client is showing an issue. The reason is why, because over here the query client I kept it as a smaller lower case, That's the problem, because when you're copying and pasting, please be very careful. Now we can see it's updated. Software engineer, it's applied over here, and as well as if I clear this, it gets removed from here, and the state is also getting updated. If I click this, if I click from here, that's okay. So clear all is not working now. If I click, okay, so I just mapped that on click event for a wrong division. That's the reason. This clear all filter needs to be over here. Now if I click that, you can see it's ignored, right? Over here you can see that button, that is also working perfectly. If I close here, that will also remove. If I click here, that is also removed. So we successfully finished the filtering, applying filtering options, and as well as the clear filter options. So up next, what we have to do, we have to bring the data over here. That's what we are going to do next. All right then, so now what we are going to do is, so we are going to bring the home templates and everything. So let's go ahead. So first, we already have the templates data. We already fetched the templates data by using the use templates custom hook. So using that use templates custom hook, I'm going to bring the data. So let's remove the unnecessary files over here. We don't need the header.jsx, filter.jsx, helper.js, animation stuff, home container, let's leave it there. Index.js is not necessary. So this is the place where we have to render the template, right? So to do that, we're going to bring the use templates. So let's bring the use templates over here. Const data is equals to use templates, which is coming from our custom hook. So let's get the data, and let's get the is error, and let's get the is temp loading, and of course a refetch, right? So for this, I'm just going to use the different alias name for this data. I'm just going to say templates, and for this temp underscore is error, and for loading temp underscore is loading, and for this refetch temp underscore refetch. Save changes. These are the things. Now you can see we have the templates data. So far we do have an empty array. So let's go ahead and add a new template. Add new template. So let me close this, and template. Let's give a template name. Let's say professional resume for software developers. Click here to add a new template. Let's choose, let's go to the here, work, resume builder, images, template one. I already shared these images and everything in the description. So please click the link and go ahead and open it. So copy it. And there we go, it's been updated. And let's choose software keywords, all the unnecessary keywords for this. And yep. All right, so click the save option. So once it's successfully saved, you can see we have the template over here. And now if I get back to the home, of course, I will have some data over here. You can see I have the template. Now all I have to do is to bring the template and render it over here. That's what I need to do now. So to do that, what I'm going to do is, if there is any errors or something, we need to display like something went wrong, please try again later, or refresh, or something like that. So if it is loading, if the template is loading, if the temp is loading, then I need to return main spinner.jsx. So now if I refresh this, okay, so we are getting the search term as undefined, where undefined, somewhere we are using the search term, right? That means we are using the search term in the header. We are using the search terms over here only. Copy, find it, this one, Okay, these ones. So we need to change all these things into a conditional rendering to avoid those mistakes. Then where else? I think here it's fixed, save it. And we have to fix this in the filters.jsx2. Yep, here we go. Do the conditional rendering because initially those states doesn't have those properties. So we need to use the conditional rendering. So say this changes. Now if we refresh it, you can see we have the loader and it's fetching the data, and now it's not showing anything because we didn't do anything at all. So inside this form container, right after here, what I'm going to do is, so if the temp error while loading, if there is template error, then what I need to do, I need to bring the react dot fragment. If there is no error, then I need to bring a react fragment. All right. So inside this, if there is an error, what we are supposed to do, I'm going to bring a paragraph tag and I'm just going to say something went wrong. Please try it again later. This is the text I need to display. So class name, which is going to be text lg, and text txt doc. This is the text I need to display. If anything goes wrong, if nothing goes wrong, then of course what we have to do, so we have to bring a division, and that is going to be Vetrivel, and I'm going to display as a grid, and grid columns initially it's going to be 1, but on the medium device grid column it's going to be true, and on the large device the grid column is going to be 3, and 2XL device, the grid, that means the extra large device, the grid column is going to be 4, and the gap between each and everything is going to be 2. And inside here, this is the place main thing, we have to bring the template. So every time whenever you refresh it, you can see it's bringing the template with some kind of animation. So to do that stuff only, we are keeping it inside a separate internal component. So I'm going to create an internal component just to render a template. Just to render a template, I'm going to create an internal component, and inside that I'm going to pass that template information as a property. So let's bring that internal component over here, render a template, then I'm just passing the templates information inside here. Let's keep that information like, what is that? What is that template? Yeah, that's the data that we have to supply it inside here. Then let's close this. And here I'm just going to say a return. Inside this return, I'm going to bring a react.fragment, open it. And inside this react fragment, I'm going to render that template. So if we do have the templates, and if the templates dot length is greater than 0, then we need to render this fragment, react dot fragment. If not, I need to render this react fragment. So if there is no data to display, if we don't have any data to display, that means which is empty. In that case here, this is the place where we have to do, we have to bring and display no data form, right? If we have something, then of course over here, I'm going to bring the animate presence, and I'm going to render the templates and templates dot map, open it. I'm going to get that template information, template, then I'm going to get that index, call a callback function, and here I'm going to create a custom component. So let's go ahead and create a component called template design pin, template design pin dot jsx, and inside here RAFCE, save the changes. Let's export it from here. Let's keep that template design pin, copy and export it in that same name, save these changes, close this, and let's get back here and let's bring that template design pin from the components, and this function and this component is going to take two different parameters as a properties. First, we need to fix the duplicate value. So inside the template, we do have the underscore ID, that's the key, and we need to get the data property, and that is going to carry on the template data. Then we need to get the index, what is the current index, and that is coming from your index value. Save this changes. So now you should get the template design pin. So that is which is being rendering over here. The reason is rendering only one time because we have only one data inside that array. That's the reason it's rendering that template design pin. Now inside this the template design pin, so we are going to customize it to look it in this way, including some animation stuffs and everything. So that's what we are going to do next. All right then, so now what we have to do is we have to create this template. If you have a close look over here, we're having two different internal boxes over here, and if you hover it, showing some amazing tooltip with some kind of animation stuff, and if I click it, showing it's already added to the collection. If I click it here, and that will be instantly removed, and it's showing as add to collection option. So that means it's removed from the collection, and if you wish to add it, you can add it over there. Now if I add it again, it changes the icon color and it's showing as added to collection. Even if I refresh it, it will still show the same. It's added to the collection. It's because it saved these changes directly into the cloud, right? So to achieve this, so first let's bring this outside thing. So let's go ahead and over here, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add some class name for it. So class name. So for this we need to fix the outer outline styles and everything. So let's say before doing that, let's bring the import motion from the framework motion. Let's wrap this complete stuff into the motion.div. Inside this motion.div, let's bring a division, which is going to be a fixed height and everything. So width, of course, it's going to be full width, but the height is going to be initially it's going to be 500 pixels, the height. But on the 2XL device, means extra large device, I'm just fixing the height as 740 pixels. That's the height I'm going to fix it on the extra large. And rounded device, BG gray, rounded medium, BG gray, it's going to be 300 or 200. Let's keep it as 200. Overflow, of course, it's going to be hidden, overflow hidden, and the position is going to be the relative position. So save these changes. Now you can see we have the template background UI. So let me enable the word wrap. Now instead of this template design, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring an image. So this image, it's going to be from the, we have to get that data property. We have the data and the index property, which is coming from where? From here, data and the index property. We have to capture it, and I'm just going to use the data. Inside the data, I do have this image URL. Let's copy it and let's apply it over here. So that should display that image URL over there. It's displaying it. Now we should make sure that image is covering the complete width and height. So class name, width, of course it's going to be full, height, of course it's going to be full, and object, of course it's going to be covered. So now it's covering the entire UI over there. Now what I need to do is, all I have to do is to unhover. It's like whenever I'm hovering it, I need to bring that background some shadow effects, and I need to bring these two different kind of options and everything. So first let's fix the animation stuff, right? So to do that, all we are going to do is to bring an animation part. So what we need to do is, inside here we are getting the index. So let me add one more template. So this is going to be senior developer or something, professional resume, then click an image template 2, open it, software engineer, front-end developer, and Sure. Marketing manager, project manager, graphic designer. Let me add all those things, save it. Now it's been successfully saved. If I get back to the home, now we have two different things, right? So here I'm just going to say initial. So initial state, initially the animation, which is going to be opacity, it's going to be 0, and the scale level, it's going to be 85%, 0.85. Then I'm just going to copy this, paste it and paste it, which is going to be animate, and this is going to be exit. Save the changes. So we need to make sure now it's not showing anything. This is the reason, because animate is going to opacity level is 0. So let's change this to 1. Now you can see it's bringing both of them together, right? It's bringing both of the IDs and objects together. So we need to avoid that. So how can we avoid that? We can use the transition effect. While transitioning, so transition, I'm going to delay 0.3 seconds. So each index needs to be delayed 0.3 seconds. Should be wrapped inside one more thing. And ease, it's going to be ease in out. Save these changes, and now if I refresh it, you can see it's waiting 0.3 seconds. So each index, that's the reason we are getting the index property. So each index needs to be wait for certain number of time. So at some point we might get the warning. So to avoid that warning, we can get that ID property and we can set it as a key parameter, or we can use the index as well as the key parameter. All right, so now you can see the animation stuff is working fine. So instead of writing this animation stuff, I'm going to cut it and let me open the animation index.js, and let's export that animation from here. Export const, and this is going to be, so we need the index value, right? So basically that index value is coming from here. So we need to bring that index value over here. So I'm going to bring that as a function, scale in out, and I'm going to get that index as a parameter value, and I'm going to keep that function, and I'm going to return an object. So this function, whenever you're calling a function, that is going to return an object. So now instead of this equal sign, bring the colon and delete this single curly brackets and delete it at the behind as well as, and add the comma at the end. Save these changes. All right, so this ease in ease out is going to be in a string parameter. All right, so I'm going to use this scale in and scale out over here. So basically I'm going to spread every object whatever I'm getting from that scale in and scale out function, and I'm going to pass the index as a parameter. So that will pass the index over there and it will be returned over here as an object. So save these changes. That also should give you the exact same output what you were expecting. So far we have achieved the animation stuff, right? Then all we have to do is when you are hovering it, we have to bring back that particular option, and we have to display that add to collections and add to save options over there. So that's what we are going to do next. All right, then, so now what we have to do is let's jump back over here. So when you're hovering it, we need to bring that layer, right? So to do that, all you have to do is to jump back to your template screen, and this is the place. Since we already keep it this as a relative position, so here I'm going to bring an option. Okay, so let's bring that animate presence, wrap it inside here, and I'm going to bring it as a motion dot div, enter, and this is going to use the animation as the fade in out with opacity animation, which we already have. So that's the reason we are keeping the animation stuff in a separate place. Then let's add some class name, which is going to be absolute position. Of course, it's going to take the absolute position, and insert 0, which means top, left, bottom, right, every position is going to be 0. And BG, it's going to be RGBA 0, 0, 0, 0.4. That's the color that we are going to use, and inside that everything is going to be flex and flex column direction. an item center and justify everything in the starting position. Right, and the px padding, inside everything padding, we are going to have px py 3, and it should be always on the top of that every layer. Then cursor pointer, save these changes. Now you should see that black layer over there. Now inside this black layer, what we are trying to do is, so we have to bring this two different options, right? So basically we need to make this particular option as a reusable component. We need to keep it as a reusable component, which is going to display some custom tooltip label and custom icon and custom functionalities as well as. So to bring this as an custom options and everything, so we need to create a separate component. So let's bring a division over here first, then we can create a custom component to division, which is going to be flex and flex column. Inside the division, everything is going to be in the flex column direction, and of course that should be always in the ending position, and justify the content on the starting position, and width to full and gap, it's going to be 8, which means if you over here, this is the these two are in a single division, and it's in the ending position, and it's in the topmost position over here. And you can see they have the gap between this 8, and we have in the flex column direction. That is the reason over here we have it. Now inside here, I need to bring these two options. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create an internal component and name as inner box card or something like that. Let's open it as an component. Okay. And this component need a 3 different property. What are the 3 different property? We need the label, and we need the icon, and we need the functionality, the different function, because first one is going to add it as a collection, second one is going to save that resume. So we need to handle 2 different functions with a single component. So we need the label, then we need the icon as a component. We are going to bring the icon as a component by sending it as a reference from the place where we are calling it, and on handle is the function. So these are the things that we need. And here return a component, and here I'm going to have a div, and inside this div, what we are going to do, we are going to display that icon first. So icon class name, which is going to be text primary text base. Save the changes. Now inside here, this is the place where we are going to call that icons and everything. So what I need to do, I'm going to bring the first icon. So let's say inner box card. So for that box, the label is going to be, we can simply say add to collection. That's the label. Later we need to check the status, whether this already inside the whether this ID is already been added to our collection or not. What we need to fetch the data, and we need to check it over here. So we can change that part later, so don't worry about that part. And then we need to send the icon. So icon, I'm just going to bring this folder plus bi folder plus, so that icons need to come from import from react icons /bi. So let's bring the bi folder plus icon over here. Then on handle for hand, I need to call the add to collection method. So for that, I need to create a function over here, const add to collection, and this function needs to be async. I'll explain the reason later. Just like the same way, I'm going to create one more, and that is going to be add to favorites. Save these changes. So that should bring the icon over here. You can see that icon over here. So I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to bring it 2 more times, and this is going to be add to favorites. And here this is going to be a different icon now, which is going to be bi heart. Save the changes. Now you should get the heart icon over there. So let's go ahead and fix the styles for that. Now what we need to do is, so for this division, I'm just going to say class name. For this on handle, on click, we're gonna call that method on handle. So class name. So these functions will be mapped for this on handle event. So width is going to be 10. Height is also going to be 10. And rounded, it's going to be medium. And BG color is going to be gray 200. And flex, everything should be item center and justify center. On hover, I'm going to bring the shadow medium. And the position is going to be the relative position. Save these changes. Now you should be able to see that over here. Right? Now, inside this, I'm going to bring one more absolute position, which is nothing but your hover. Whenever I'm hovering it, you can see we are getting that animated options over there, right? The tooltip. We are going to bring that customized tooltip over there, right? So for that, I'm going to bring this division over here. So this division is going to have the class name, and inside this, I'm going to bring a paragraph tag, and there I'm going to bring that label. I'm going to display that label. So now you should be able to see that label over there. So let's add some styles for this. So px it's going to be 3, and py it's going to be 2, rounded it's going to be medium, bg it's going to be gray 200, and it's going to be in absolute position, right? So save these changes. Now you can see it's showing like that. So what we need to do is the paragraph, it's been compressing the text and it's wrapping the text in the, it's bringing the word into a next line. So I don't want that. For this paragraph tag, I'm going to bring the text size as SM, and text is going to be the primary text color, and white space, I don't need any wrap. So now it is always in the single line. Since it's an absolute position, it's been overlapped. So what we have to do is we have to adjust this absolute position over here. So I'm just going to push it to minus left 44. This is just a trial and error. You can adjust it as per your wish. So you can adjust and you can feel, find out the way how it's giving you how the way you are feeling satisfied with that UI, right? Then I need to bring a small arrow mark that indicating like this. See, you can see a small arrow mark right over there, right? So we need to bring that arrow mark. So that is just an after pseudo element. So inside the Tailwind CSS, you can use the after keyword to create an after pseudo element. After, I'm going to create an after element with this going to be 2. And after height is going to be 2. And after BG for the time being, I'm just going to keep it as 300. Then after position is going to be absolute. So if you save these changes, you should be able to see a small red color box. So we need to adjust that position to somewhere else, right? So I'm going to push that after pseudo element into minus right 1. You can see it's over there. Then I need to bring that after pseudo element to the top. So from the top, I'm going to push that into 14 pixels downwards. So 14 pixels. Save it. Now it is in the center positions. And I need to rotate that. So I'm going to rotate that after positions into rotate 45 degree. Like that. Now what I need to do, I just need to change it to the exact same color what I had. That's looking fine. Now you can see this displaying over there. So I need to add some animation styles and animate everything for this particular division. For this initial style, it's going to be opacity, it's going to be 0, and the scale level is going to be 0.6, which means 60%. Then on from x-axis, from left to right, I'm moving 50 pixels forward, right? So let me copy and paste it 2 more times and change this to animate, change this to exit. On animate, change this to 1, change this to 1 from 60, and change this to 0. All right, so save the changes. So now if you refresh it, it looks like it's animating, but you can't see it. So, but this it's need to be rendered only when I'm hovering it. So to do that, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to say use state snippet is hovered. Initially it's going to be false. Make sure that is imported, and this it's need to be rendered only if it is hovered. So now if I hover it, it's need to come in, right? So for this, on mouse enter, I'm going to call a callback function, and let's say set is forward as true. Copy and paste it and change this even to on mouse leave. Change this function to false. So here you can see it's working perfectly fine, right? Now all we have to do is to make sure whenever you're clicking this, it's need to add it to the collection. When you're clicking this, it's need to mark as a favorite. So that's what we are going to do next. And of course we need to change this the background effect also. That's need to be rendered only if I'm moving my cursor inside of this division. So that's also we need to change. So let's do one by one. So let's go ahead and add this template to your collection. That's what we are going to do next. All right then, so now what we have to do is to start doing this add to collection option. So let me restart my server because I closed it unfortunately. So let me restart it. So let's say on start. Here we go. So it's reloading the app and everything is working perfectly. So we are getting the data. All right, so now what we have to do is we have to fix this add to collection option. So that's what we are going to do now. So now basically what we are trying to do over here is, so when I click this add to collection, that means the user is willing to save this template in his collection. So we need to add this ID, add the template ID into the user data. So we have the user collection and we have the template collection. In the user document, I'm going to create a new field called collections as an array. So I'm just going to keep on add ID of the templates, whatever the user wants to mark it in his collection. We're just going to push those ID into his collection array inside the user collection document, right? Not in the template. So that's what we are going to do now. So what I need to do is inside this is the place where we created that function, right? Over here, this is a function. And I'm going to get the event, hit the enter. So whenever I'm clicking this button, I need to stop the propagation, so to avoid the that reloading, or so if the user wants to, even if he wants to download that template image, we can able to add that option. By the time when you click the download option, it will refresh it, right? So we don't want the unwanted the refresh options. And behind this I'm gonna add one more on click event, which means when I click this, the user needs to navigate to the next page, right? So at that point, even if you click over there, that will push the user to the next page. So we want to avoid that issue, right? So if I click here, the page should not be navigated to the next page. It will not take you to the next link, next page. So we need to stop that propagation. So that's the reason we need to add that stop propagation. Stop propagation. So that's the function name. So that will stop the user from redirecting from one page and from another. Whenever this function is being called, it will not allow the user to redirect from one page to another. And now here I'm going to call one more function called save to collections, which we haven't created, so we have to create it. And inside here I need to send the user and the data. So the data, whatever the data that we are receiving inside this template bin, we need to send it completely. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the user data from where use user, from the use user hook. I'll get the data of that user state and I'm going to keep it in the name as user itself. Now inside this function, I'm going to send the user and as well as the data, whatever we are having in our hand. Okay, so, and of course we need the refetch function also. Refetch colon user refetch. So we need to refetch the user detail because we are trying to push the details into the user collections, right? So that's the reason we need to refetch the user data once it's been updated successfully. All right, now let's go ahead and copy this. Now let's jump into the helpers.js, helpers, and let's scroll down over there. So inside here, now what we are going to do is, so I'm just going to create a function. Either we can keep it inside the helpers or we can keep it inside the API. Let's keep it inside the API itself over here. So here, hit the enter and let's say export const save to collections equals to async and no. So this function is going to take two different parameters, user and the data, which we are sending it from the place where we are calling it. So save these changes and let's import it over here so we can avoid the issues. Just a moment, save to collections, save it. So now the issue is solved and let's close this helpers.js. Let's jump into the API. So inside here, now what we are going to do is, so basically I'm going to create a collection array inside the user data. So if you expand the user object over here, you can see we don't have an object called collections. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new field over here called collections as an array, and I'm going to keep on push the ID of the templates inside that array. So we have to make sure first whether the ID is already inside the collection array or not. If it is already inside, then we have to remove it. If it is not inside, then we have to push it. That's the action that we want to do. So if not user, that means if the user data we having inside the user data, I'm going to have one more option called property called collections. If that collection array doesn't includes the data dot underscore id, which means the user collection array inside the user data, if it doesn't have the template id, that particular template id which is not inside that array, that means we need to push it inside the array. So let's open it. Here I'm just going to create a doc reference. Let's say doc reference equals to doc, let's get the database db, and then inside here where users, that's the table collection name users, and I'm going to send update that particular user id. Okay, so this is the user id I'm trying to update. So that's the doc reference which we are trying to create. And now let's say await update doc. That's the method, default method which is coming from your Firestore, and we need to supply your doc reference, and then now you need to supply your data over here. Inside here I'm just going to say I'm going to update this collections field. Collections is the new field which I'm trying to create it inside over there, collections, and I'm going to use the method called array union. So basically this method, it will return a special value. So it tells the server that the union given element with an array value already exists on the server or not, right? So this if you want to go through about this method, let's copy this and let's search for array union Firestore, search for, and that will takes you to add doc. So here we can find, let's search for array union. Yep, this is the method. So whenever you are using a new method, please go through their the official usage over there. So here you can see or we can use the chat GPT itself. So let's use the chat GPT and let's ask what is the purpose of array union. Array union in Firestore. Here array union is the function Firestore transactions and batch writes to update an array field by adding an element to it. This is particularly useful when you want to ensure that an element is unique or not. So every time whenever you are trying to push it into that array, so we need to make sure whether that id is already inside there or not. If it is already inside, so we don't want to add it again and again, so we have to stop it. If it is not inside, we have to insert it again. So that's the reason we are using the array union method over here, right? So now what I have to do is, now I have the array union, then I need to supply the data id inside. That's it. That's all I have to do. Data underscore id, because that's the data. If you open the templates, and there you can see we have the underscore ID. This is the field that we are trying to insert over there. All right. So when you are doing this, if it is everything is successful, then that is going to return a promise, and I'm going to call a callback method, and I'm going to say toast dot success saved to collections. That's it. And when we are doing this, if there is any error, let's get that error object, toast dot error, open the dynamic string literals, and let's simply say error colon, and let's bring that error message over here, error dot message, save the changes. All right, so this is the if condition. So if that ID is not inside, it is going to update, it's going to push that ID into that particular array. If that ID is already there, then what I have to do, I have to remove it. So that's what we want to do, right? So I'm going to get this data exactly, and I'm going to paste it over here, because we are going to use the same doc reference, and we are going to use the same update method, but instead of array union, I'm going to use array remove, which is helps you to remove that particular element from that particular collection array. Then I'm just going to say removed from collections, save the changes. All right, so that is what is going to happen over here whenever you're clicking it. So now if I click this, we are getting an error like e dot start propagation. Okay, my bad, spelling mistake, start propagation. So now if I click this, we are getting the message as saved to collection. And if you go and click your user data, and there you can see we have the collection array, and inside that we have the user ID, the template ID, that particular template ID, it's been pushed successfully to your collections. Now if I click this one more time, and there you will have two different IDs, and if I don't want this, I have to click it again. So if I click this, now it's saying removed from the collections, and if you go here and check the collection, now you have only one particular ID over there. So now everything is working fine. Now all we have to do is to just change the UI look, right? Because once I added, I need to change to add it to collection. If it is not, I need to change the icon color as well as. So to do that, what you have to do is, let's jump back to the template design pane. So this is the place where we are pushing this collection and everything, right? So this is the place I need to check. So what I'm going to do is, over here at the label, so if the user, so we are having the user object, if the user object have the collections, this is the copy it and paste it here. If the user have the collections or array, and if it includes dot includes, and it includes the data underscore data question mark dot underscore ID. If it includes that particular ID, then what I need to do, I just need to say if it is already inside, then I just need to say added. That's it, added or already added. So added in the collections. Else I need to say add to collections. Okay, so now it's showing us yeah, here it's showing us added in the collection. It's taking some time to refresh, and you can see it's showing us added in the collection, and it's showing add to collection. So what we can say is, instead of this, we can simply keep it as added and add, just like that. It's taking some time. Yeah, still it's compiling. Yep, now it's compiled, and here it's showing added. So, or we can keep it as added to collection, added to collections, add to collections. I think that will be fine. All right, so the label is fixed now. Now all we have to do the exact same stuff. Let me copy this command, and over here let me delete it. If it is already inside, then what I need to do is bi solid folder plus. I think it's taking some lag over here. I just need to say solid folder plus. That's the new icon. If it is not there, then I need to say bi folder plus. Save the changes. And that will take some time to compile because I don't know, it's lagging somehow. And now we can see if it is added, you can see it's showing as the icon color is different and it's showing as added to collection. If I click this one more time, and now you can see the icon color and the label style is everything is changed and it's working smoothly and it's having the empty array over here. So we successfully implemented the add to collections object. So just exactly the same way we have to do for favorites too. So that's what we are going to do next. All right then, so now let's go ahead and start doing for add to favorites option. So just like exactly same way, so we have to change this to add to favorites function name. All right, so then inside here I'm just going to copy the exact same stuff and put it into the favorites, and let's get the events. So here instead of save to collections, I'm just going to say save to favorites. So let's go to our API. Here we go. So inside this, now what we have to do is just like the same way how we did for the collections. So we have to keep it for the favorites. But in this case, now what we need to do is we need to add this to the templates, not the users. So we are saving the collections, the template ID inside the collections array inside the users document. Now we need to, whoever liked this template, it's need to add the user ID into the template collections, into the template document. We need to add the ID of the user, whoever liked it, they need to keep it over there. We need to maintain their IDs and everything inside the template itself. Okay, so let's copy this completely. Anyways, it's exactly the same only, but we have to change the doc names and everything, and this is going to be saved to favorites. So copy this and paste it over here, and let's import it over here, save the changes. So now you will not have any issues or anything from that favorites. So we need to pass the user data and the data itself, and we can get it back over here. User and the data, we are getting it back over here. Now I'm going to check the if not data, the template doesn't have the collections called favorites. In that collection, if it doesn't have this user question mark dot uid, then what I need to do, I need to get the templates. That's the templates collection which we created. I'm going to push that template ID, and we need to update that specific template ID, right? That's the doc reference. So we are going to update the doc reference, and I'm going to update this favorites collections, favorites array, and I'm going to push that user question mark dot uid. That's the ID that we are going to push it inside the array. If it is say so, we said save to saved favorites, added to favorites, or we can say added to favorites, removed from favorites. All right, so doc reference, let's copy this, and let's simply copy this doc from here, paste it over here, and let's update the doc reference, and let's update the favorites over here, and let's remove that user from that particular collections. All right, so now we changed everything. So let's check it out. If I click this, It's telling us added to favorites. Okay, it's saying as added to favorites. Now I have to go to the templates folder and let me go open the templates. And okay, here you can see it's not showing that. Oh, the reason is because we haven't refetched it, right? So if I refresh it, and now if I go and check the templates, you can see it's having 7 items in it and it's having 6 items because we added the favorites over there. So if you go here, now you can see we're having the favorites, and inside the favorites now we have the user ID because this particular user already marked as is favorites. Right now I have to get back to the template design pane, and just like the same way I have to get the templates over here. So const equals to use templates, and inside the use templates I'm just going to call that a refetch method, refetch, and I'm going to say temp refetch. So I'm just going to copy this refetch data right after here. So that is going to, every time whenever it's been getting updated, it's going to refetch that data. And just like the same way over here, I'm just going to check if the data dot favorites array includes user dot uid, which means, oops, I changed it in the wrong component. It's need to be changed over here. If the data favorites dot includes the user ID, that means the user already added this to his favorites. So if it is say so, I'm just going to say added to favorites, or else add to favorites. So now what we have to do is, just like the same way, we have to update the heart, the heart icon itself. So I'm just going to delete this and I'm going to write the condition. If it is say so, I'm going to bring the solid heart, or else I'm just going to bring the heart. Save the changes, and now you can see it's displaying the solid heart. The reason is because it is already added to the favorites. If I wish to remove it, now it's removed, and it's instantly updating the UI also because of this refetch method. It's refetching the data from the cloud by using its API, right? So everything is working smoothly. So far we have successfully completed that, implementing the add to collections options and add to favorites options and everything. So far everything is good. Now what we have to do is I have to bring back that this particular layer that's need to be displayed only when I'm hovering it. If it is hovered, I need to display, or else I don't want to display it. So what I'm going to do is, and so what we can do, this is the place where we are bringing it. So this division, this entire division needs to be rendered only if as forward. So use state snippet is forward. Then I'm just going to display that section is forward and displayed. So now it will not be displayed anymore, and it need to be displayed whenever I'm hovering over here, which means we have to create two different events: on enter, on leave, on mouse enter. I'm going to call a callback function, and I'm going to say set is forward as true, but on leave, on mouse leave, okay, on mouse leave, I'm going to say it as false. All right, so now if you hover it, it will comes in. If you hover out, it will show that options and everything. All right, so that's looking cool, right? So now all we have to do is to, whenever I'm clicking this, that's need to take me to that specific route. So what I'm going to do is, and So if I'm going to click here only. So for this, I'm going to add an on click event. On click, and I'm going to say is handle route navigation. That's a method I'm going to create, copy it, and I'm going to say const route navigation. So far we have created the successfully implemented the add to collections and add to favorites options and everything. Now we have to fix this route navigation. So let's go ahead and do that now. All right then, so since we successfully created that function for navigating the user to that specific route, so first of all, what we have to do, we have to make sure that we created that route or not, because that's the place where we have to render that template details and everything, right? So let's get to the home screen, close this. Inside the home screen, we have this option called resume detail, and along with that we have that template ID. So this is the particular route that we need to navigate that user. So I'm going to navigate the user to the resume detail, and I'm going to send the template ID so that I can get the template ID from there. Then I can refresh whenever the user trying to refresh using that ID. I can able to fetch the data from the cloud. So this is the route I need to navigate the user. So let's jump back over here. To get that, I need an object. So const navigate equals to use navigate, open it, and inside this method I'm going to use that navigate object to navigate the user to the specific route. So let's say navigate spelling mistake, my bad. Navigate equals, no, not navigate equals, it's a function and it's going to take a string. So let's use the dynamic string literals, and I'm going to copy this route, and I'm going to paste it. But instead of this template ID, I'm going to send the real template ID, which is nothing but your data question mark dot ID underscore ID. That's the ID that we are trying to send it in the route, and I'm going to replace that URL. True. Save these changes. So now you will understand that if I fail to add this stop propagation option, see what's happening. If I don't do this, see here, now even if I click this, that will take me to that route. So that's the reason we are adding this stop propagation, but the function will work, but it's pushing the user to that specific route. So we don't want to do that. So that's the reason we are making that stop propagation option. So that will stop that propagation. And if you click it now, it will be removed from there. And only if you click over here, that will take the user to the template pin details, right? So far we fixed the navigation route, and now all we have to do is to customize the template pin details just like the same way what we have over here. In this place we have to display the image, and we have to display the title, and the same option add and remove to favorites, and how many likes it's having, and we have to display the suggestions. If we are having suggestions, we have to display, right? So let's go ahead and do that stuff straight away. All right then, so now let's go ahead and bring the template design pin detail. So in the home screen, so we have to open this design pin detail. So far we don't have anything, and in the route we can see we have the template ID, right? So that's the thing that we have to fetch it over here. And let's make sure whether we are sending the template ID or which one. Yeah, we are sending the template ID only, so we need to get that template ID over here. So let's go ahead and get the template ID from the URL parameters. So I'm going to get that template ID by using use params hook. So this params hook is going to return that ID from your URL route. This is the ID that we are trying to access. So we will get that ID in this. Using this ID, I need to fetch the detail from the collection first. So we need to fetch the detail from the collection. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a separate API function to fetch the template specific ID from the template collections. So let's create an hook, an internal hook. So const equals to use query, not use queries, use query, open it, and let's get the data. I'm getting the data in the data, and I'm getting is error and is loading and refetch. These are the things that we needed. And inside this use query, I'm going to supply an array of information, which is going to be the state's name. So template, that's the state name. And I'm going to supply the template ID, which particular ID that we are fetching, and I'm going to supply the template ID. So this will display the state name, comma, that specific ID. All right. So after this, I'm going to call a callback function, and that function is going to be get template details. This is the function which is going to come from your, and we need to supply the template ID inside, and this function is going to coming from your index.api. So right after here, export const get template, and let's make this function as an async function, and here we need to get the template ID. Right, save the changes, and let's import it over here from the API. All right, so save the changes now. So now you can see it's showing us template and the template ID as a state, and it doesn't have any data in it because we have to get that data and everything. So now let's jump into the index dot your JS file. That means your API file. Let's go to the index dot API. So here inside this function, using this template ID, what we have to do is we have to fetch that data from that specific collection. So I'm going to return inside here. I'm just going to say return new promise, open it, resolve, comma rejects. Let's call a callback function, open it, and inside here I'm just going to say const unsubscribe is equals to on snapshot. I'm going to get that dog, and I'm going to use the DB instance from which collections, templates collections, and I'm going to supply that specific template ID. This is the template ID that I'm looking for. Get that, and that is going to return a dog and call a callback function, and let's resolve that dog dot data. We are sending that data, and right after here I need to return that unsubscribe event. Save changes. Cool. So now if I refresh this, we'll get the template ID and we'll get the template data. There we go. So we are getting the template data, right? So over here, this if the data, you can see that it's loading sometimes, right? If it is loading, so what we have to do, we have to instruct the we have to make sure that it's been loading or some kind of stuff is happening. So if it is loading, I'm going to return the main spinner component. Save this change. So now if I refresh this, you can see it's loading and it's displaying the data. Cool, right? Now let's go ahead and customize this options. We customize the UI details, UI and everything just like the same way how exactly having over here. So that's what we are going to do next. All right then. So now what we have to do, we have to customize this. So let me delete this and let me go back here. And inside this, I'm just going to say class name, width the full, and height. Of course, it's going to be the 60% of the screen height, and flex column, and an item center, justify center, enter. Okay. And then so this is like what I'm trying to show, telling over here is if any error, in case if there is any error, this is the thing that we need to display. So I'm just going to cut it, and I'm going to keep this div as template right now. Let's leave it as it is. So we have this is error state, right? If is error. While doing this, if there is any error, please return this division And instead here, I'm just going to say error while fetching the data, save these changes, and then please refresh. Please try again later, something like that. For this paragraph tag, let's keep this text as let's say text LG, text txt primary, and font semi-bold. Save the changes. Now this will be rendered only if there is any issues or anything else. So let's get back to this area. For this, let's say class name. So width, of course, it's going to be full, flex, item center, and justify it in the starting position. And flex, it's going to be in the column direction, and px, it's going to be 4, py, it's going to be 12. Save the changes. Now you can see it's displaying the content over there. Let's enable the word wrap so you can see it completely. All right, cool. Now what I have to do is to, if you have a look at this template, so what we're having, so we're having this breadcrumb over here. So let's bring that breadcrumb first. Breadcrumb. So let's bring the div. So this is going to use the width full. Of course, it's going to take the complete width, flex, item center, and PB, padding bottom, it's going to be 8, and gap between each element is going to be 2. Inside this div, what I'm going to do, I'm going to bring the link which is coming from the React router down, and inside this link, I'm going to get the house, and I'm just going to say home, that icon, this is the icon, and this text. So whenever the user trying to click this, I'm just going to navigate the user to the home route. So this class name, it's going to be flex, item center, justify center, and gap between is going to be 2, and the text color is going to be primary. All right, so save these changes. Now you should be able to see this home icon over there. So right after this home icon, what we have to do, I need to bring one more paragraph tag, which is going to display this slash. And here I need to display that data template name, data.name. Save these changes. Now you can see we are displaying the data template name over there. So this will take you to the home route, and this will display that that particular template name. So we successfully finished that breadcrumbs section. Then what we have to do, we have to jump back to that design section. This is the place where we are finishing the breadcrumb, and now this is the design main section layout or something, right? So here, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring it as a grid. So what we have to do is to make this as an entire layout as a grid. So we'll take the complete 12 column spaces and break it into 8 and 4 combinations. And more mobile screen, let's make sure both of them are taking the all the 12 available spaces and everything. So that's what we are doing over here. So here, let's break it div class name, and let's say width full. Okay, and let's break it into the grid, and initially it's going to be grid column space. For small screen onwards, the grid column space, it's going to be 1, but on the large screen onwards, grid column space, it's going to be 12 from the large device onwards, right? So inside here, I'm going to bring the div 1, which is, this is the left section, and this is the right section. Let's bring it over here div, and for this 1, and this is 2. Save the changes. You should get this, and let's add some styles for this class name. For this column span, for the normal small devices, it's going to be 1. From the large device onwards, column span is going to be 8. Okay, now that should push the entire length. And for this, I'm just going to copy it, and I'm going to say this as column span is going to be 4. Now we occupied the 12 spaces. So 2, this is taking 8, and this is taking that 4 spaces and everything. So inside this, so let's bring this image, and let's bring that remaining part later. So let's go ahead and do the stuff to bring that image over there. To do that, what I need to do is inside this particular division, everything is going to be in the flex flex column direction, and item start. It should be in the top of the div, top left corner. So justify start. Justify start. All right, and the gap between each element is going to be 4. So save these changes, and let's then delete this number 1. And now what I need to do, first I need to load the template image. So do the comment whenever it's possible so that you can understand how the entire stuff is working. So data question mark dot image URL. So let's copy that image URL and put it over here. Save these changes. So that should bring that image over here, right? It's rendering that image. So let's fix that styles and everything. For this class name, of course, it's going to take the available width and height. Of course, it's always going to be auto, and object should always display the complete image, object content, and the rounded, it's going to be medium. So now we fix the image part over there. So it's displaying the image. So then after this image, what we have to do, we have to bring this title section and as well as this remove button options and everything. So let's go ahead and bring the title section. So need to fetch the title and other options. All right, so let's create a div to get that. So for this class name, of course, it's going to take the complete width and flex, and everything is going to be in the column direction. Item, everything is going to be the starting position, and the justify, the content, everything is going to be the starting position, and the gap between each element is going to be 2. Inside this division, I'm going to bring, so now we wrap these 2 layouts into a single div. Now we have to bring it for this particular division. So what we did over here is, we created a div, this outer layout. Now we need to create a layout for this, and we need to create a layout for this, these 2, right? That's what we are going to do now. So now inside here, this is the division for the title section, right? Title section div. Let's make this div as width. It should take the complete width, and flex, item center, and justify, it's in the between. And now display the title, paragraph tag. Let's open the data question mark dot title, and for this class name, text base and text txt primary and font semi bold. Save these changes. So that should display the title over here, just like that. All right, so it's displaying the title. And then what we need to do, we need to bring the likes. So close this, likes count. So what we have to do, we have to create a div for that, class name, and I'm going to keep it as a flex, item center, justify center, gap, it's going to be 1. And inside here, I'm going to bring that BI heart icon. And for that, I'm going to give the class name as text size is going to be base, and the text color is going to be red 500. And then I need to bring that favorites, the total count, how many users it's been liked this particular template, which is already inside the favorites. So paragraph, inside the template data, we have a collection called favorites. Always use the conditional rendering, because when the user trying to refresh it, that data might not be there, so that will throw some issues. So here I need to display with the favorites length dot length dot length likes. Save these changes. So that will display the how many likes you have. So for this class name, it's going to be text base. Save changes, and the color is going to be text txt primary and font semi bold, like that. Okay, so let's keep this as solid heart. Okay, like that. So, but this needs to be displayed only if this length is greater than 0. Otherwise, we don't want to display that, because nobody wants to display the the length is greater than 0, then we need to render it. So let's bring this division, wrap this division inside here. Now you can see it will not be displayed. Now, but if I want to add, so let me get back to the home, and if I click add, so it's added now. And now if I click here, and you can see one like, because the user liked it. But if you go here and if you click this, you can see it doesn't have the like option because the user doesn't like that video template. So he did, we don't have that count, so that it's not showing the data over here. So then after this, we have this title and other options. Inside this title, we display the title section. This is the place where we are title finishing. And here we need to bring that collections and favorite options. So here, now what we have to do is so we have to display this information only if the user data is there. So let's go ahead and fetch that user information first. So const equals to user, get the user details. Let's get the user details, keep the data in the name as user, and let's get the refetch and user refetch. Save these changes. Now we have the user data in this inside this component, and this component needs to be rendered only if that user data is there. Then only we need to render it. If user is there, we need to display this division. Div class name, flex, item center, justify center, gap 3. Inside here, I'm going to just like the same way how we did over here, we need to check that ID for inside the template pin detail. If the user collections include this ID, we are displaying this text over here, right? So I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to check it. If the user collection includes that data.id, that specific that ID, if the user collection does have that specific ID, that means we have to render something which is going to be react.fragments. If not, we are going to render something react.fragments. Save the changes. If the user collection does have that ID, which means it's already inside, so we just need to show the user as remove from collection, this button. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a div. I'm going to say class name, and either we can no, let's keep it in this way itself. That will be better, because if we are trying to keep this division only one time and we need to check this condition 2 different times to display the icon separately and to display the text separately, it's better to check the condition one time and render 2 different components over there. That will be 2 different elements over there. That will be much preferable compared to that previous options which I'm trying to implement now. So let's leave it, let's keep it in this way itself. So flex, item center, justify center, and px it's going to be 4, py it's going to be 2, rounded it's going to be medium, and we need the border, and the border color should be gray 300 or 200, and gap it's going to be 2, and on hover I'm just going to say bg gray 200, and cursor it's going to be pointed. Inside here I need to bring that vi solid folder plus icon, display it, and I need to bring that paragraph tag which is remove from collection, having the text called remove from collections. So here I'm just going to say class name, which is going to be text base and text txt primary, and for this paragraph tag class name text sm text txt primary and white space no wrap. Save this change. Now you should get that it's showing remove from collection. So I'm just going to copy the same stuff and I'm going to put it inside here, but this time the icon is going to be bi folder plus and add to collections. Save these changes. And for this we need to get that add to collection option. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to simply copy the same method which I added over here, copy this, and I'm going to bring it over here, paste it, and let's import this one, and let's make sure this user refresh, it's exactly the same thing. And now I'm going to add that on click event for this on click add to collection. So copy this and do the same thing over here, save the changes. And now if the user wants to remove from the collection, if you click it, it will be removed. If I click it again, it will be added. So the same code, it's working perfectly fine. So far so good. And just like the same way, this is the just like the same way, what we have to do, we have to check for now that favorites, if that it's having for favorites. So instead of doing that, typing it completely, I'm just going to copy this stuff completely. I'm going to paste it over here, and I'm going to copy this part. This is the ID that we are trying to check, and I'm going to keep it over here. We don't want any unwanted mistakes, so let's avoid that. And this is going to be bi solid heart plus solid heart remove from favorites, and this is bi heart add to favorites. And let's bring that this function also add to favorites, copy it and put it straight away over here and import this. And we need the template, we need to get all the templates as well as, so right after here const equals to use templates, open it, we need that data and keep it as the templates, and we need that refetch method, and let's keep that as temp refetch, and we need that is loading state as well as, and let's keep it as temp is loading. All right, so let's copy this method and let it put it inside over here and here. Save this change. Now it's showing us remove from favorites. If I click this, it will be removed, but it's not updating that information. Okay, the reason why it's not showing, because we fetch the templates, we fetch the entire templates and it's updated, and you can see it's working, the data is working, but we have to refetch this and this particular template informations also, right? Because you are updating the templates collection, but we need to refetch the template detail. What I'm trying to say here is we need to use this refetch method also. Now even if you click here, that will update over here, and as well as the entire collection data, this entire group details, it's also updated, and this particular template information is also updated. Cool, right? So far we successfully completed this image and everything. Let's go ahead and fix this, the remaining part now. All right, people, so now what we have to do, so let's go here and we have to fix this, the second part of this particular area, we have to fix that. So let me minimize this and let's get into the right section. This is the right section where we are. So inside this right section, what I need to do is I am going to bring that the image, and I'm going to display some of the tags and the edit template options and everything, right? So here, let's say we already have the class name, columns and everything, it's been fine. So let's keep this width as full and flex in the column direction, flex column, and item center and justify in the starting position, and px it's going to be 3 and gap it's going to be 6. All right, so save these changes, and now inside here I'm going to bring a div, and that div it's going to be class name. Width is going to be full, and I'm going to keep that height as 72, and for the time being I'm just going to show you bg as 200, rounded, medium, and overflow it's going to be hidden, and the position is going to be relative. You can see it looks like this. But inside this, using the style attribute, I'm gonna bring a very specific background image. So using the background and using that URL function, I'm just going to copy and paste the image URL which I copied from the Pixabay. So you can use any image. So I'm just going to using this image, this particular image. So you can use, so feel free to copy any image as you wish and apply this background position. It's going to be center, and background size it's going to be cover. Save these changes. So that takes the entire cover and everything. Now, and if you have a look here, we can see that image is too bright. So I need to reduce that brightness, and I need to display some text over there. So what I'm going to do is inside this division, I'm going to create one more div, and I'm going to make that div as an absolute position, and that is going to access all the corners. So using the insert property, flex item center, justify center, and the bg of it, it's going to be RGBA 0,0,0.4. So it changes. That's how it looks. And inside here, I'm going to bring that link from the React router DOM. And for the time being, if the user clicks it, that will take the user to the home screen. Later, if you have a different score, more separate page and everything, you can keep that option. Discover more. And for this class name, it's going to be px, it's going to be 4, py, it's going to be 2, rounded, medium, border, we need the border, and let's keep it as 2, and border gray, it's going to be 15, 50, and the text color is going to be white. It looks like that. Okay, so if you click this will take the user to the home screen. So right after that, what we have to do, we have to bring that edit option. So we have to display this edit option only if the user have the permissions to do that. So this is the place, this is the thing where we are adding the discover more option, and right after this, edit the template section. Okay, so over here now what I need to do is I need to display this only if I have the user data. Then inside here, I'm going to bring a link tag, and I'm going to send this user to the specific route where the place where we are going to create the resume. This is the place where we are creating the resume. This is the route star, resume slash star. Okay, so let's copy this to dynamic string literals, resume slash. After this resume, I'm going to send the data dot name, what the resume name that we are trying to. Then along with that, I'm going to send the template ID as a query parameter. $. Let's send that data dot underscore ID, or you can simply send that template ID which we fetched from the URL backend, right? So basically we are sending the name. So this with the URL route will be looking like this, like a local host colon 3000 slash resume slash the template name. What will be the template name? Like professional or something, professional slash, and what is the template ID? Something, a random number, something like this. So this is how that entire route will looks like. Okay, so inside this link tag, now what I need to do is I'm just going to display a paragraph tag, and I'm going to say edit this template. So this is going to be class name, which is going to be text. It should be in a white color, and font, everything will be the semi-bold, and text, of course, it's going to be the large. For this link, I'm going to add some styles. So class name, which is going to be width, of course, it's going to be full, and px it's going to be 4, py it's going to be 3, and rounded it's going to be medium, flex, item center, justify center, and bg emerald 500. That's the color that we're using, and the cursor is going to be pointer. It looks like this. So once you successfully implemented this, next what we have to do, we have to bring the tags, and we have to display those tags over here. What are the different tags that we have to bring and display it over there. So div class name, width full, text, flex, item center, justify center, flex wrap, and instead of keeping it in the center, let's keep it in the starting position. And here gap, I'm going to use it as 2. Then inside here, I'm going to bring the data dot tags. We have the tags array, and I'm going to use the map function, open it, get the tag and as well as the index, render the component. Now inside here, I'm going to bring a paragraph tag. For this paragraph tag, I'm going to add the class name, and as well as we're going to have the key, and the key is going to be our index number. For this class name, of course, we are going to use the small size text XX. Border, it's going to be border gray, it's going to be 300, and px it's going to be 2, and py is going to be 1, and rounded is going to be medium, and white space we need it as a no wrap. And inside this paragraph, we need to display that tag content, which is nothing but your tag itself. So that should bring your tags and everything over here. Cool. So we successfully finished the right section. And the next thing what we have to do, we have to bring the suggestions. So we have to bring and display the suggestions, the template which is coming under the same category and everything. So that's what we are going to do next. All right then, so far we successfully finished the main UI part and everything. Now we have to display that the similar post. Okay, we need to show the suggestions for the users, so the similar kind of templates. So let's go ahead and do that. So what we have to do is this UI, where is the grid has been completed. So this is the place where the grid has been completed, this complete stuff. So right after this grid, enter, I'm going to show the suggestions for similar templates. So I'm going to create a div. For that div, it's going to be width, of course, it's going to be full, and padding top and bottom, it's going to be 8. This space, let's increase the space top and bottom, and flex column, item starting position, and justify the content in the starting position, and the gap between is 4. And I'm going to say get that paragraph tag and say you might also like. We have to display this. So this needs to be rendered. When it's need to be rendered, only if the template's length is greater than 0, right? Only if the template's length is greater than 0, then only we have to get that template's length over here. So all right, so let's do that. So let's say templates. We need to get that complete templates, use templates. Yep, this is supposed to be templates. Sorry, my bad. If the templates dot length is greater than 0, then render this. All right, so now it will display the text over here, and let's start class name, which is going to be text LG. font semi bold, text txt dark, text dark. And right after this paragraph tag, I'm going to create one more division, the place where we're going to bring that grids and everything. So width full, grid column 1 on the small devices, from the large devices on the grid column 2, and from the 2 Excel devices, grid column 4. This is going to be 3, but on the medium devices, grid column 2. Right after here, gap between everything is going to be 2. Enter. So this is the place where we need to render the template. So the place, just like the way how we displayed the content inside the home container. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to copy from this React fragment to paste it over here. And let's bring the animate presence templates.map, and let's bring the template design pin, import it. That should fix the issue. Here we go. Okay, but now what we need to do is, so it is displaying all the templates. I need to ignore this particular ID. This particular ID needs to be ignored. So except that, I need to display it over here. So before mapping it, I don't need to check one more time because I'm already checking it over there. So let's remove it. Here, before mapping it, what I'm going to do, I'm going to use the filter method with the templates. I'm going to use the filter method, filter. And over here, I'm going to get the every single template from here. And I'm going to check that temp dot underscore ID should not be equals to data question mark dot underscore ID. Now, that particular ID will be ignored. This data will be ignored over here. Apart from that, the remaining stuff will be displayed over here. Cool. Okay. So instead of, so this is the condition that we need to check here. Copy this and let's paste it over here. If we are getting something, if that length is greater than 0, then only we need to display that. So I'm trying to filter apart from this particular ID. If I'm getting any data, then I need to display this stuff. If there is nothing else, I don't need to display this. You might also like this part and everything. So the suggestion part is completed. Now, if I click this, that will take the user to this create resume place. This is the place it will take the user, and you can see it's showing resume template 1 and the stuffs and everything. The URL, it's looking perfect and it's navigated to the specific screen. Now all we have to do is to go ahead and create that create resume part and everything. That's what we are going to do next. All right then, so now what we have to do is we have to get back into our create resume. So I'm just going to delete this. We don't need this anymore. Let's delete this home container. Let's delete this. If we need, we can open it later. Okay, so let me open the create resume page. So basically what we are trying to do over here is, so based on the template ID, so if I'm clicking this edit template, so based on this ID, so in the route we are getting that specific ID, right? So based on this ID or based on its name, we need to render the sub components, right? So for create resume itself, I'm going to create a route, a separate route. Based on what name that we are resuming, we are going to display that component. Since I already told you this is a separate component, so for every template images, whatever you are uploading, you need to create a customized template in the local. Before uploading it, you need to design it and you need to keep it inside your local file. Then you need to upload that image in your admin file. And this is the exact same name that your component name should be, right? So let me explain you briefly what I'm trying to say here is, so let's fix this class name. It's going to be width full and flex column, item center, justify in the starting position, and the PF4 top and bottom. It's going to be 4. Enable the word wrap. So now it looks like this. Inside here, now I need to bring the routes and I need to template render those templates. So to render that inside the helpers.js, I'm going to create a separate templates data. This is an array that we need to maintain for whenever you are trying to add a new template, export const templates data. So you need to manually map that route every single time. So I'm going to give an ID which is going to be template hyphen dollar date dot now. That will maintain the unique ID, and I'm going to supply the name object. Name is going to be template one, which is exactly the same name that we do have for these both templates. We have the property called name here, template one, and for the template two, we have the property as template two. So we have to maintain those two names, and the component, that's the component. I need to create the component called template 1 and 2. So this is an asset. So now what we have to do is to go to that specific components folder. We need to go to that specific components folder. Then we need to map that particular component. And inside the component, I'm going to create a new folder over here called designs. It's a designs component, which we are going to maintain the designs components and everything over here. And for the time being, here inside this, I'm going to create the index.js file, index.js, and I'm going to create template 1.js, is exactly the same name what we do have there, and create template 2.jsx RAFCE, say the changes, close it. RAFCE, say the changes and close it. And index, let's export them. Export default as template 1 from where /template 1. Save it and replace it template 2 and template 2. Save the changes, close it. And now here we have to bring that component template 1 from where, from the design. So let's import that part manually by ourselves. Import from /components/designs. Let's bring the template 1 comma template 2. And let's map it over here. Now the template 1 is mapped. Let's do the same stuff for the template 2. Name is going to be 2 and component is going to be 2. Since we're having two different templates, so we need to map it like this. So now if you are willing to add one more template called template 3, so you need to map that over here, and you need to create a new template 3 component over here. Then you need to go ahead and add that template name and ID, because the reason, see here, if you are trying to add a new template, you can see what's the name that you are getting, template 3. This is the name that you need to create a component over here. Inside the designs, you need to create a component called template 3, and you need to create and you need to export it in the name as template 3. And in the route inside the helpers.js, you need to change the route. You need to manually add the route also for the template 3. So every time whenever you are adding a new template, this is what you need to do, because every single template UI, it's completely different. That's what I'm trying to say over here. Okay, cool. Now instead of displaying that text over there, create resume text over there, what I'm going to do is I need to go here. If I click this, instead of displaying the create resume, here in this place we need to render the routes. So let's bring the routes inside here. I'm going to get that templates data, which is coming from the helpers. I'm going to use the map function, and I'm going to get the template information, and I'm going to render over here. So here I'm going to create a multiple route based on the route whatever we are receiving. So for this route key, I'm going to say template !ID, or we can keep that as an ID, template ID. Then path, to which path that it's need to be navigated, it's need to be navigated to this specific path, slash dollar template dot name. That's the template that you are trying to edit. Then component, the component, what component that we are trying to render over here, template dot component. This is the component that we are trying to render it over here. So now you can see it's showing us template 1. And now if I get back here, if I click this and if I click edit it, and you can see it's displaying it as template 2, right? Because based on the ID, based on the route over here, based on the route, when we are sending the route to this specific path, template 2, right? That's the template 2 we have over here. Based on that, it's rendering the component. Okay, that's the route we are sending it over here. So this is the route it's being pushed. So based on that particular, it's rendering the template. Now if a user choose the template 1 and if he clicks the edit, and it's rendering the template 1.jsx, so that particular component is being rendering over here. All right, so we fixed the main route for creating the resume based on the templates and everything. I hope you now understand how to add a new template and everything. So next, what we need to do is we need to start designing a template. So instead of designing a complete template, I can share you the code so you can follow me with the exact same code over here, because that's a designing stuff. So you understand the main logic behind how we are bringing the template components and everything and loading it. Now that is just a designing stuff. We can do your customized design for each and every template. So to work along with me, I'm going to share you the template code so you can follow me from there. All right, people, to start designing the template 1, so I already shared the code in the link in the description below. So please click the link in the description and that will take you to this place. So basically we have to update 3 different files, which is your helper.js, and you need to update your animation index.js file, and you need to update your template 1.jsx. Just follow me from here, because this template 1 have quite a lot of updates with the states and everything. So basically I removed all the major important functions, so it does have only the necessary things to keep that UI to be loaded, and these are the main functions which we need to create by ourselves, right? So let's go ahead and copy this helper.js. So from here to here, copy this and put it inside your helper.js. Okay, and make sure it's not throwing any issues over there. Okay, then what we have to do, you have to do the same stuff for the animation, because I added few animations in it. Not very few, I just added this opacity in and out. Either copy this alone, or in case you can simply copy everything and paste it inside there. And then for the template 1, you just have to copy literally everything. If you follow the folder structures and everything just exactly the same way how I explained for you, if you follow the same way, you will not run into an error. So just you have to copy this from starting to here until this, copy it, and then Control A and paste it over here. Save these changes. If everything is perfectly fine, that should load your template over here. So this is the template design. So what are the options that it does have? If you click the edit option, everything will be changed into an edit mode, so you can customize every single field, including the picture. If you click this, so that will take you and change the image back and everything. So I don't want to waste the further time designing this entire UI component for you, so I just provided the code so you can follow me along from there. And if you wish to add a new skills, that will add the new skill, including the animation, and over here also. So one of the major function that we have to do is over here, this download and options and everything. So even after getting this image, you might run into 2 different errors, because you are not having these 2 packages, where it is, these 2 packages, JS PDF and HTML2 image. So open your terminal and you need to add these 2 packages, yarn add JS PDF and HTML2 image. These are the 2 packages that you need to add. So hit enter and download these packages. So let me copy this command and let me put it over here itself. because that will be better. So for you guys to follow that from there. So what we have to do is you have to add two different packages over there. Yarn add Tailwind CSS and yarn add not this one. Where it is JS PDF. Okay, so you need to add these two commands, which is nothing but yarn add JS PDF space HTML to image. These are the two different packages that you have to add. So copy that packages and hit the enter. So those packages will be added, so you will not run into any error or anything else. So now what we have to do is, so all we have to do is to how to save this details and everything. So along with that, so what we have to do is, so we have to so over here, if you notice here, this templates need to be saved directly into your cloud. So this function, where it is, this function will allows the user to directly save these details inside the Firestore collection over there. So you have to copy this function also. I also listed that function over there. So please go ahead and copy that function. So basically, what's the purpose of this function is, this function helps the user to store the details. So if you, all you have to see, you can see here under the users, you have the sub collection called resumes. So if I go to the Firestore, Firebase.collections, firebase.google.com, and open my project. And if I go to the resume builder YouTube project, and if I go to the Firestore database, under the Firestore database, you have the users, their collections table over there. Users, under the users, now we have the data. This is the one, I think so. Yep. So here, over here, so this will create this particular option. Whenever I click save, if I click the save option, so you can see it's showing as data saved. That will create a sub collection inside that particular collection. You can see now we have a sub collection called resumes, and that resume detail, the complete resume detail, will be saved over here. Whatever the information typed by the user, the entire information will be saved over here. So that is the part of that particular code. So I already shared that code over there, which is straight away at the end. You can see this is that one. So every time whenever this template is being loaded, we are trying to fetch that particular template. We are trying to fetch that particular template. If the template is there, then we are fetching the details already from that collection. If the template is not there, it will create that particular resume in your user collection, right? Because this will helps you to maintain the detail. Like, think about it, that you are editing a data and you are closing it, and after coming back and you are you need to see the data which you edited, right? That's the reason we need to save it. So that's the main functionality. So go ahead and copy this function and put it inside your API folder, API index.js. So I already mentioned everything, the place where you need to copy and paste these codes and everything. So if you are so far at this point, so now all the one and only the remaining stuff that we have to do is just downloading the PDF, PNG and JPG and all those stuffs. So let's go ahead and do that stuff one by one, right? All right, so now let's go ahead and generate the PDF. So in the template 1.js x, so all you have to do is to search for generate PDF. So this is the function which helps, it's mapped with this button. So when you click this, this function is being called. So over here, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to access the DOM element which having the reference as a resume reference using the use ref hook. So let's access the DOM element using the use ref hook. So const element equals to resume ref dot current. Okay, so we are getting that, and then if I don't have that element, if not that element, so what we need to do, so I'm just going to say console.log unable to capture the content. And instead of displaying this over there console.log, I'm just going to say toast.info. I'm just going to say this message and then return it. So you can't download that. So this message will be written. So user will be intimated that we can't enable at a moment, capture at a content at a moment. So they can try it some other time later. If not, I'm just going to say HTML to image dot. We are going to generate as a PDF, right? So first what we have to do is so basically we are capturing this entire stuff into an image, then we are pushing that image into a PDF, right? So let's keep it as a to PNG, open it. We are passing that DOM element, this entire container is being passed inside that. Then that will return a promise dot then. Inside that promise, I'm going to call a callback function, which is going to take that data URL, okay. And here I'm just going to say const a4 width. We are going to create a variable called a4 width, which is going to be 210, and const a4 height, the a4 size height, which is going to be 297. Then we are going to create a PDF variable. So where PDF equals to new JS PDF. That's a package which we downloaded and imported. Open it, and we need to pass on some certain parameters inside it. Orientation is going to be portrait, so key, and then unit, what kind of unit that it's going to using as a reference, which is going to be then format, what kind of format that you are going to use over here. I'm going to use the a4 width and a4 height, which I created over there. Right, save the changes, and then now I need to get the aspect ratio so that I can fix this perfectly. So const aspect ratio equals to a4 width divided by a4 height. Save the changes. Then const image image width. We need to get that image width, so we can set that image perfectly, covering the entire page. So then const image height equals to a4 width slash aspect ratio. All right, these are some calculations that you need to follow to keep the image perfectly. So const vertical margin, we need to calculate the vertical margin. So a4 height minus image height divided by 2. Okay, then we need to add this PDF into that we need to add that image into the PDF. So PDF dot add image, open it, data URL, that's the URL that we are trying to add, and in the what format, in the PNG format, and using the 0 as the number, x position, and then using the vertical margin and the image width and image height. So then all we have to do is to PDF dot save resume dot PDF, save the changes. So if you want to use any dynamic name for yourself, you can use that dynamic name. Okay, so while doing this, if there is any issues, so I'm going to call a callback function. I'm getting the error object, and I'm just going to say toast dot error, open it, dynamic string literals, let's say error colon, and let's get that error message, what error message that we got. Save the changes. All right, so now if you click this, that should download the resume PDF, and if you open it, you should be able to see that particular image, which is perfectly sitting over there on the top of that particular page. So generating the PDF part, it's successfully done. So all we have to do is to get back and generate the image, and for PNG and JPG and SVG, that's the part that we are going to do next. All right, so let's go ahead and generate the remaining parts like PNG, JPG, and SVG. So to do that, we have this option like generate the image option. Okay, so basically this generate image option that helps you to generate. Let me check where this function is being mapped. So this generate image function, it's mapped for JPG, for this particular function, mapped for JPG, PNG, and SVG. So PNG, SVG is there, PNG and SVG is there. For the JPG, this is the function for JPG. So let's fix this PNG first. All right. So what we have to do is to, just like the same way, I need to get that element. So I'm going to copy this. Every time we need to check that, paste it here, and paste it inside the generate image as well as, and paste it inside the SVG as well as, save these changes. Now right after this PNG, generate PNG, so I'm gonna get that using that HTML to image option. So HTML to image option to PNG, I'm going to use the to PNG, and I'm going to get the element, and I'm going to convert this to PNG. We are getting that element, and using the get, then it will return a promise, and I'm going to call a callback URL. So data URL, open a function, and inside here I'm just going to say const a is equals to document dot create an element. We are going to create a new element with an anchor tag. All right, so anchor dot href reference for that href property. I'm going to send that data URL. Then I'm just going to say download that equals to in the name as resume.png. All right, and I'm just going to say a.click. Call that click method, so that will download it. And let's copy this sketch and let's paste it straight away over here. Save these changes. Now, if I click this PNG option, that should download. Oh, sorry, I clicked the PDF. So if I click this PNG, that should download this PNG image. If you click that, and here we go, we have ourselves that PNG image, right? So just like the same way, what we have to do is I just need to copy from here to here, and let me get into the SVG part. After here, instead of to PNG, change this to SVG. Instead of to PNG, change this to JPG. That's it. Now if we click this JPG, a JPG file will get downloaded. Okay, so you have to change this file extension also, JPG, and over here we have to change the extension as SVG as well as. So click the JPG. Now you have yourself a JPEG image, and if you click SVG, and now you have yourself an SVG image. Okay, so we successfully finished the create resume options and everything. And if you click the edit option, instead of Karen Richards, I'm just going to type Vetrivel Ravi. Okay, and if I click this edit mode disable, and if I click save option, so that will be saved permanently into your database. You can see the data is saved. Now it doesn't matter even if I'm refreshing it. So that should bring back the detail with the data, with my own data, right? And just like the same way, I can click here and alter my images also. So if I click this, so that will loading that. It's taking some time to load. I don't know why. So I'm not sure. So due to some reason, my Chrome it's stopped responding. So I have to close it. So let me open the Google Chrome one more time, and let me bring it over here. So I'm still facing some issues with the Google Chrome right now. Not sure why the Google Chrome is giving me a lot of problem right now. Let me bring it back one more time. I'm not sure why it is happening like this. I think my Google Chrome, it's been crashed. So let me open the Safari. Not sure why that is happening. So here, let me bring it over here and let's say localhost 3000, and it's showing us to login. And if I click here, sign in with Google, let me sign in with my Google account. So that will takes me to my local hosts. What is just happening? It's not signing in. Why? Okay, so it's not allowing me to sign in. I don't know why. I think something is crashed. So Google Chrome, it's making me a lot of problem right now. So, all right. So due to some reason, my Chrome it's been crashed. So I have to uninstall and reinstall this stuff. So we successfully finished all these options. So one and only is that remaining that we have to update the profile section. If you click the my account, so we have to map that profile with our profile.jsx. So we haven't create that profile.jsx. So we have to map this user profile with our this one over here. So the URL route is wrong. So we have to go and fix that, and we have to bring that user profile. So if you see over here, and so I'll just remind me later. So resume builder that over here. Let me click my profile, my account. So you can see this is the one that we have to display. So let's go ahead and customize the user profile over here. So let's jump into the header.jsx. That's the place where we are sending the profile to the user profile. So what I have to do is, this is the place. So I'm just going to cut this part, cut it, and I'm going to say dynamic string literals, paste it, slash dollar. Here I need to get that user data uid. So now if I click here, if I click this, so that will takes to that specific route, and I will get the user profile. So now all we have to do is to open the user profile, and let's bring that the customized designs over there. So that's what we have to do. Go ahead and do that now. So let's go ahead and let's open this user profile .jsx, and here I'm just going to say class name, which is going to be width, of course it's going to be full, and flex column, and item center, and justify everything in the starting position, and py it's going to be 12. Save the changes, and let's enable the word wrap. So first what we have to do, all we have to do is to bring this entire section. So for that, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to create a div over here. Inside here, I'm going to keep this width as full and height as 72, and bg is going to be blue. For the time being, I'm just going to keep the bg as blue. Okay, so if you can see here, this is the area that we are displaying it. So here now I have to bring that image. So basically I just copy this image from that Pixabay. So you can feel free to use whatever the image that you wish to have. So I'm just going to use this image over here from the Unsplash. I copied that image and paste it over here. Then I need to bring that user profile just exactly the same way how we displayed it in the header.jsx, in the place how we are displaying it in the header.jsx. Just like the same way we have to bring this, and we need to put it on the top layer. So from there itself, I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to paste it over here. So before that, I'm going to get that user data. So const equals to user and I'm going to get that data, and I'm going to keep it in the user state. Save the changes, and then now all I have to do is to make sure if the user have that photo URL. If the user have that photo URL, I have to render this React fragment, or else I have to render this React fragment. Okay, if there is a photo URL, then of course I need to display that image, right? I need to display that image. So I'm just going to copy that image from the header.jsx and I'm going to display it over here, just like that. So we are displaying that image. If there is no image, then of course what we have to do, so I have to display some avatar. So I just copied some avatar from different avatar image from that online. So this is that image link from the free pick. So if there is no photo URL, so this is that image, it's been loaded. All right, this is the image, it's been loaded. Okay, so you can copy this image URL, or you can use that image URL, any image URL as you wish. And this stuff needs to be in the center of the screen. So I'm going to wrap this inside a div, and I'm going to paste it inside a div. I'm going to say class name, which is going to have a flex property, flex item center, and justify it in the center, and flex column, and the gap, everything is going to be 4. Now it should be in the center of the screen. And after the place where it's being ended, so this is the place where we need to bring that paragraph tag, and I'm just going to say that user.display name should be displayed over here. Display name, that should display the name of that user. Then for this class property, I'm going to use the text to Excel, and the text is going to text dark, save the changes. Okay, so right after the underneath that, we need to bring the collections and my resumes. So collections is nothing but the whatever the ID, whatever you have saved, marked as a collection, you need to display it. And this is the resume which you generated and which is stored in that resumes collection. So these are the things that we have to fetch it and we have to display it. So right after this division, so this is for the tabs. So let me bring the class name, and that is going to be flex item center and justify center, margin top, it's going to be 12. Then inside this div, I'm going to create a div, and that is going to have a class name, and this is going to have a dynamic string literals. Px, it's going to be 4, and py, it's going to be 2, and round, it's going to be medium, and flex item center, justify center, gap, it's going to be 2, and we are going to use the group property, and cursor is going to be the pointer. Inside this division, I'm going to have a paragraph tag, and I'm just going to say collections. So that's how this tab should looks like. So for this, I'm going to have some class name, which is going to be dynamic string literals, and let's keep it as a text base, and text txt primary. And on group forward, I'm going to change this to text blue 600 color, and px, it's going to be 4, py, it's going to be 1, and rounded, it's going to be full. Okay, so we need to create a tab, we need to create a state to monitor that the tab information. So I'm just going to create a state. So basically by default, I'm going to fix that default state as a collection. So active tab as a collection, default active tab as a collections tab. So using that property, using that active tab state, so we are going to do some color changes over here. If the active tab is equals to collections, if that active tab is equals to collections, then I have to make sure the bg is white color, and I need to add the shadow empty, and the text color is going to be the 600. Save these changes, and the use state is not imported. Let's import it. Save the changes, and now you can see it's highlighted. Right, when I'm hovering it, it gives you the same colors and everything. Okay, so on click, I need to make this particular division as an active tag. So on click, I'm going to call a callback function, and I'm going to say set active tab as the collections. That's the active tab. And now I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to paste it one more time, and this is going to be my resumes. Okay, So I'm just going to save this active tabs as resumes, and active, if the active tab is equals to resumes, then change this color to. So now if I click this, that will change to this. If I click this, the active tab will change and it looks like that. So we successfully created that active tabs and everything. And now all we have to do is to, I'm going to bring a division over here, and based on that divisions, I'm going to render that complete stuffs over there. Based on that tab selections, I'm going to render that. This is the place where the tabs it's being completed, and here we are going to show the tab content. So div, okay, so this div needs to access the complete width, and I'm going to bring a grid system inside here, class name, which is going to be width full. Now, of course, it's going to be a grid, and grid column 1 for a medium device, grid column 2 on LG device, grid column 3 on 2XL device, grid column 4, and the gap is going to be 2, px it's going to be 4, py is going to be 6. Inside here, I'm going to bring that animate on presence, enter. So I'm going to say that active tab, if that active tab is equals to collections. So what is that? Active, if that active tab is equals to collections, then I need to display this, then only I have to display this. I'm going to get the react dot fragment. Okay, so inside here, if that active tab is equals to the collections, then what I have to do? So I have to get that user collection. So inside here, you can see we have this user object, and inside the user object, we have this collection and we have the ID. So we have to fetch that particular ID from there. So using that user object, user from the user dot collections. So I'm just going to copy that array, copy and supply it over here, paste it, collections dot length. If the length is greater than 0, and user dot collections, user should have the collection object. If say so, I need to render that template. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to render a template, and I'm going to bring an internal component, which is exactly the same way what we did for the home container, I think. So let's go to the home container. So this is the same thing. So I'm going to copy it from here, and I'm going to get back to the user profile, and let me paste it over here. So just exactly the same thing. We haven't changed anything at all. Just what we have to do, we have to, we don't need this part. So I'm just going to change this to and I don't need this remaining part. Just I'm going to delete that. So I'm going to bring that over here. Okay, so let's bring that render template. Okay, so render a template. Okay, if not, if there is nothing else to display, what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a div, an empty div. Save these changes. So for this, of course, we need to import this part. So we haven't supplied the data. So all we have to do is to supply. So templates, it's equals to templates. So we need to get that template state. So let's, what I have to do is to, I have to bring that template state. So all I have to do is to bring the template states over here, save these changes, and import the use templates options. So if you don't have the user object, then of course we need to navigate the user to the home screen, to authentication screen. So bring the use navigate also. So if you don't have the user, if not user, then navigate the, so this is supposed to be inside the use effect method. Use effect hook, open it and call a callback function and keep the dependency injection. And here, if you don't have the user object, then navigate the user into the slash auth route and replace the route is equals to true. So if we don't have the user object, this will render the user object to there. And now it's supplying the templates details over here. See, these are the templates, but what are the I don't want to display all the templates. I just need to display the templates which is marked as the collections, which carries out the ID inside our collection object. So for this template, what I need to do is I need to filter colon dot filter, open this method. I'm going to get the template object, each template object. So if that template, so user dot, I need to make sure that user dot collections dot includes that particular temp dot underscore ID. If it has that, then it will be displayed in the collections. Look at that. Now it's showing the collection because that is the one which I marked as a collection. If we go here and you can see this is marked as a collection, this is not. If I click this, this is also be added to the collection. And now if I get back to my profile, my account, and there you can see your collections, right? This because you added as a collection over there. And if you don't have any kind of data, if you don't have anything else to display, in that point we need to display this. There's no data is coming from your assets folder. So for instance, what I'm saying here is now if I want to remove this, I don't want, so I just remove it. That will be removed. If I remove this too, now you can see we have no data to show you in the collections. If you want to add, just add it one more time, and that will be added, and that will be pushed back, and you can see it in your account. So just like the same way, what we have to do, we have to bring it for your resumes also. So to get that resume, so what we have to do, so we have to create a custom hook to get that resume. So over here, what I'm going to do, const data colon saved resumes equals to use query, open it, and I'm going to get an array, and it's going to say this name as saved resumes. And here I'm going to call back function, and that function is going to be get saved resumes, which we haven't created. And for this function, we have to supply the user colon dot UID, because based on the ID only we can fetch that details, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to create this function. So copy this and let's get back to the API, index.api. Here, over here, I need to bring that function. So say to get that saved resumes. So this is the code. This is the code which is going to get you that saved resumes, just exactly the same way how we fetch that template. So I just changed that resumes from the users collection. I'm going to access the user ID, and I'm going to have that resumes collection, sub collection. So I'm going to fetch each and every resumes, whatever the user created, right? So I just copy this and I just pasted it over here, the place where we are getting the templates, just exactly the same way how we fetch the template, get template, just like the same way I copied it and then I paste it over here. So that's a function which is going to give the returns all the resumes over here. Then I'm gonna render it over here. So now we have, so, and what I'm going to do is if that the temp is loading, if the temp or the user data or whatever, if any of the fetching details which is loading, I'm just going to say return. We have to return that particular loader, which is nothing but the main spinner. So now even if you are refreshing, which is going to display that loader, and that is going to display my account. If I refresh this, oh, it's taking back over there. Okay, so it will take, it's loaded over here and it's going to display that information over here. Okay, so the reason over here it's pushing the user to the auth screen, that is because it is so let's stop this. And now if you refresh this, yeah, here we go. It's not pushing the user because instantly initially, because every single time whenever you are refreshing the refresh, if you are executing something inside the use effect, it will be executed 2 times in the local host. But you can see here the same code. If I refresh here, it is not going to push the user to the okay, so here also it's having the same issue. So this is the problem with that code. I think this is the one which is pushing the user to the home screen. Okay, maybe we should not write that. I thought due to that it's working in that way. All right, so anyways, the code is working perfectly. Now the user data, we can see the collections. So now we have to bring the resumes which we created. So to do that, now we have the same saved resumes. So if you click the details and you can see the saved resumes, you have the array, and inside the array you have the details and also the image URL and everything for that particular thing. So now what I'm going to do is just I'm going to copy the same stuff what we did for the template option over here. So this is the one, right? This is the place where we are displaying it. So I'm just going to copy this animate presence. Either we can copy the animate presence or we can copy it from here. So copy this and put it over here. If it is equals to resumes, so make sure that the same term that we are checking, if it is equals to the resumes, then instead of users collections, all I have to do is to get the saved resumes dot length, and if it is having the saved resumes object, then we have to send the saved resumes over here, saved resumes over here, save changes. And now if I click the resumes, you should be able to see that saved resumes which I edited. You can see Vetrivel Ravi. The beauty of this over here is now if I get back to the same design and if I edit this template, and here if I change my professional title over here, and let me change this to as a developer, and if I remove the edit mode and if I click save option, this will save that image. Okay, so now it's saved. And if I get back to my profile and if I get back to my resumes, you can see here the image URL, it also gets updated because we are capturing the image and we are saving it as a cover URL for your resume, so that every time whenever you alter something, you will get that updated data image over here and it will be displayed. All right, so this is how we created that resume builder. So we successfully finished all the important part, including the collections, the profile URL, that resume download options and everything. The only thing which I haven't explained to you in that video is just that UI part, how to create this complete UI stuff, because I don't want to waste your time to create this UI, because you can able to create this UI by yourself or much more beautier than this. You can create the UI by all yourself. So I don't want to waste some of the time over there. So I just created that. The main functionality is what is necessary for you. Okay, all the helper codes and support codes are pasted in the link in the description below, so please go ahead and use that link. And the next part is what we are going to do. We are going to deploy this project in the live server, and that's what we are going to do next. All right then, so to deploy this project, what we have to do is to first we have to export our output. So stop the server and hit the run command called yarn build. So this will export your complete output into this build folder. So we are going to have a build folder over here. See the build folder. So that will generate the complete output and optimize your code and encrypt your code JavaScript files and put it inside the build folder. Then we have to push this build folder inside your Firebase. So then we have ourselves a live URL, the project URL. So now it's been exported. So all I have to do is to, let's say Firebase, oops, not there, here, Firebase init, hit the enter. So we are going to deploy the project, right? So you have to choose this hosting options, hosting, configure Firebase hosting, optionally set up the GitHub actions. So press the space bar and hit the enter, and here you can use an existing project, of course. And what we are going to do is, this is the one, resume builder YouTube November 2023. So hit the enter, and what is the folder? Build folder. And do you want to configure as a single write and rewrite all the URLs to index.html? Of course, yes. And set up auto build-ups deploy? Nope. And Firebase build index.html already exists. Do you want to overwrite it? No. So now the initialization is done. So from onwards, if you're making any changes and all those things, you don't have to initiate it every time. Initiation is just only one time. So if you're making any changes, you just have to build it and you have to do this command Firebase deploy, and that will push your project into your cloud. So you don't have to initiate it every single time. Just initiate only one time. If you're making any changes, just build it and then push it. That's all you have to do. So now here we go. This is our live URL. If you click this, that will takes us to that particular live URL. There we go. And it's logged in, and you can see we are getting the data and everything. It's loaded perfectly, and you are not getting the developer options, developer tools, because that will run only on the local host. And if you click the login, you will be navigated over here. Click the sign in with Google, and that will takes you to the page where you can access sign in, and it will return back to the auth, and it's checking whether the user is there or not, and it's returned back to the home. All right. So now we have ourselves the details and everything. If I want to add a new template, I can go here and add a new template. And if I wish to edit any of the template, if I click edit template, so that will going to load that template. I can alter any of this information over here. And if I wish to download, I can download this, and it's working. And if I click this my account, and there I can see my collections and I can see my resumes. So everything we successfully implemented. So I hope you guys are so excited and you learned a lot from this video. So I will, if you have any questions or anything else, we can discuss this in the discussion part, and leave the questions and everything in the comment section. So I will definitely help you out. All right. All right, people, since we successfully deployed and all these things, everything is done. So all we have to do is to push this project into the GitHub. So let's get to this, and let's give the message changes projects done and deployed. Hit the enter, save it, and click here and pull or push and push to Reactful resume. Okay. So now the entire project is being pushed, and that's all. All right, people. So I hope you guys are so much excited and you learned a lot from this project. So if you're so much excited and learned a lot from this project, please hit that like and subscribe button. That will really encourage me to come up with the more innovative projects and everything. And if you're having any questions and all those things, I drop the links and everything in the description below. Please go ahead and please go ahead and leave your questions in the comment sections, and I'm definitely happy to help you out. All right. And I shared all the links and the source codes and everything, so you can click and download the source codes and click and copy the codes, whatever the necessary things in this. Everything is mentioned in the description below. All right. So I'll see you all in the next innovative project.